Things like this usually don't happen in a community like ours. It's very tragic.
Investigators release autopsy reports today for 8 members of an Ohio family killed execution style.
We begin tonight with a deadline that has passed for the mother of 2 missing children from Rexburg.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amanda and we talk about all things true crime related. Solved cases, unsolved cases, new cases, old ones, and everything in between. In today's episode, we are going to go over some updates for some cases that are ongoing. Although I do have to mention quickly before we jump into it, so I don't get sued, that everyone that we discuss is innocent until proven guilty and all crimes are alleged. I want to jump into Kada Scott's case. She's the focus of the most recent video that I put out. And if you haven't seen it yet, I definitely recommend go checking it out. The more people who know about Kada's story, the better. But to quickly recap it, 23-year-old Kada Scott was last seen around 10:30 p.m. on October 4th. She had just started her 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift at work and left shortly after she had arrived and has not been seen since. On Tuesday, October 14th, Keon King turned himself in and was arrested in connection with Kada's disappearance. The arrest was announced publicly the next day during a press conference. Kada has now been missing for 2 weeks and her family is pleading for answers. On Friday, October 17th, they announced a $12,000 reward for any credible information that can lead to her safe return. They're holding out hope, believing that somehow they'll find Kada.
So many questions surrounding why Keon King was out on bail after being accused in another case, but really Kada Scott's family, they just want answers, and they say what really matters now is just getting her home.
We're just trying to stay hopeful, and we just want, Kada to come home, and we just want some information.
We got to keep praying. We got to keep hoping. We got to keep believing. We know the city of Philadelphia is behind us. Kim can feel your prayers. We can feel your love.
Kada Scott's aunts say her mother, Kim, is too overwhelmed to talk, but they want everyone to know they feel all the love and support since the 23-year-old went missing on October 4th.
We take pride in everything that the city is doing right now, and we are grateful and we appreciate it. On behalf of our family, we are really grateful.
There's a lot of talk about things that should have been done. It's kind of too late for that for us. So that's a procedural issue that definitely needs to be looked at. But right now, we're not getting into the procedural issues. Should he have been let out?
Kada's family just wants to focus on getting the word out that investigators need help and that more victims might be out there.
Anyone with information is urged to contact the Philadelphia Police Department at 215-686-TIPS. Now for the update, Keon King was arraigned on Thursday, October 16th. This was after I recorded my video on charges of kidnapping and reckless endangerment of another person. He's currently being held on a $2.5 million bail and is expected back in court for his preliminary hearing on November 3rd. There was another press conference held yesterday on October 17th, mainly to answer some questions from the press, and we actually learned a few details from this press conference, and we also learned some other things throughout the last day or so since I recorded. This case is ongoing, it's changing. Just remember that, like I said, we're recording on October 18th. Investigators confirmed that during their search of the old school, the one that I discussed in my last video, they did find items such as Kada's glasses, her cell phone case, and her iPad case. This discovery was significant because it shows that some of her personal items were left behind, which is not normal for her. Police also shared that they wholeheartedly are standing by the fact that they believe Kada was taken against her will. Even though King and Kada had some sort of communication before, they believe that at one point she was taken against her will. They said that her phone was traveling alongside his phone until it was eventually shut off. Now, it appears that the 21-year-old is not speaking with police after his arrest. However, it's being reported that the man that Kada went on a date with the night before she went missing on October 4th, she actually went on a date from what's being shared. It looks like the man that she went out with was just something casual, which lines up to what her father said. She returned home around 9:45 from that date, and her mother said that within 5 minutes of returning home, she left again, heading to work at the senior living facility, which she reportedly was there for about 20 minutes before she left, and her coworkers reported that nothing seemed out of the ordinary for her in those 20 minutes. During that press conference, there was also some discussion about King's prior incidents. The district attorney did discuss some details in that press conference that I want to go over in a separate extra audio video over on my members only. There's some details that I just wanted to give you my insight on, but it really has nothing to do with finding Kada, so I don't want to take away from this video by sharing my thoughts on that. But as we talked about in my last video, King had been arrested earlier this year in April for kidnapping and strangulation. There's been so much reporting on this case between his priors that sometimes it's hard to separate the facts from the clickbait and then all the details in between to sort out, because you get a little bit from each source. You have to put it together, and sometimes it can be confusing in regards to of this arrest or this arrest. But it looks like I said he was arrested in April, and then by May the charges were dropped, and that was because the victim and the eyewitness that were part of that case failed to show up to court. There is a video circulating online that appears to be connected to that earlier incident. I'll go ahead and play that here. Just a heads up, there is some strong language in it. That doesn't bother me at all. I swear like a sailor over here, but I just wanted to warn those that don't hear that on a regular basis.
Go away, bitch. Don't come over here. Kara, call the cops. Call the... It's all these kids in here. Call the cops, you dumb bitch. He coming around the window. Go that way, Cameron. Yeah, bitch, go away. Bye. Go away. Bye. Yep, bye. Bye. Keon out here.
Now, for those just tuning into the audio, I know you could hear it, but the video shows a man jumping over a fence into a backyard while she's saying, "Get out of here, bitch, get out of here." The woman inside tells another woman to call 911 while he looks through the window, and then he'll walk along to the side of the house and look into another window before it appears he leaves. From my understanding, about an hour after that video was taken, the woman and the witness that was inside with her went outside, and that's when King allegedly grabbed her, threw her in his car, and drove off, assaulting her while his 2-year-old daughter was allegedly in the back seat. Now, I'm not sure if the victim actually escaped or he let her go, but either way, she reported the incident to police. King was arrested, but ultimately, as I said, both the victim and the eyewitness did not appear in court, so the charges were dropped. The district attorney did mention that the case could have moved forward using body camera footage alone and some other evidence, but as they explained, it's not always straightforward as that, as when the victim can be present and able to testify. Now, it also came to light that King has a PFA, or an active protection from abuse order against him, that's in effect until 2027, and this involves a third woman, not the one that he already got charged for kidnapping, or Kada. There is also some rumbling that he may be a suspect in a prior rape case involving a different woman, but I haven't seen too much concrete on that. But at this point, it just really seems like King doesn't know how to act like a decent human being. I know I look a little different, but there's just been some new information that came out in the search for Kada Scott, and I wanted to play it for you guys.
Well, based on a tip that came in last night through the night, investigators began the process of following up on that tip this morning, starting around 10 o'clock this morning, following up on that tip. And the tip was very specific that led us back to this location here today. What you all know, we were out here earlier in the week doing a little bit of a search. And so based on the investigative information, based on the investigation and what they were following up on that tip today, led us back to this area behind the school, where it's a wooded area. I don't know if any of you have been back there, but it's a wooded area that goes beyond the school. And so we begin to go back into that area where we will locate a shallow grave after being able to remove some of the debris back there, able to locate the body of a human being. All indications at this point is that it's a female. We are not going to confirm at this point that it is Miss Kada Scott, because that has to be done by the medical examiner's office. But we have been in communication with her family as to this process and the fact that we have recovered a human being. And so at this point, it's still a lot of work to be done. I'll be very candid that we can't answer but so many questions. We're not going to get into the investigation at this point, because we want to make sure that all of the pieces to this are done correctly, and that we don't put out information ahead of time, because we want the people and the person that we have in custody and anybody else that may be involved in this, we want them held accountable to the highest degree of the law for what they have done.
Although I know that they have not identified it as Kada Scott, the sound of his voice makes it seem like they are almost positive it is. My heart goes out to her family. I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Now, moving on to another case I covered before, there is a little update in the case of Emmanuel Haro. If you haven't seen that video, I'll try to remember to link it here so you can catch up on those details. But just a quick recap for this, if you haven't heard about this case, back on August 14th, Rebecca Haro reported to police that a woman had basically sucker punched her in the face in the parking lot of a Big Five store in Upika, California. When she came to, she said that her son, 7-month-old Emmanuel, and the woman were both gone. However, not long after Emmanuel was reported missing, both his parents were arrested and arraigned in Riverside County, California on charges of second-degree murder, assault of a child under 8, and misdemeanor charges of filing a false police report. They are each held on a $1 million bond. This Thursday, October 16th, Jake Haro was scheduled to appear in court for what was supposed to be a routine hearing, but instead it appears he pled guilty to all charges.
Your Honor has in front of you our change of plea from not guilty to guilty.
You did willfully and unlawfully murder baby Doe, and it shows E.H., a human being. Did willfully and unlawfully assault said child by means of force that to a reasonable person would be likely to produce great bodily injury, resulting in the death of said child.
That includes a second-degree M, assault of a child under 8, resulting in death, paralysis, or a comatose state, and the misdemeanor charge of filing the false police report. He's now set to return to court for sentencing on November 3rd. Meanwhile, his wife Rebecca, who is still pleading not guilty, will be in court on that same day for her preliminary hearing. If you remember from my previous video, Jake Haro had previously pled open to the court about 6 years ago on charges of child cruelty. The case involved his 10-week-old daughter, who was injured so severely that she now functions only with about 3% of her brain and relies entirely on the family who adopted her to care for her. And as of right now, Emmanuel's remains have still not been found. It's a heartbreaking case all around. A lot of people are wondering how he can plead guilty if he doesn't tell anybody what happened and where Emmanuel's remains are. But we'll go ahead and follow this one for any more updates. There is also a small but important development out of Maricopa County. Thomas Brown has been indicted by a grand jury in connection with the death of 2 teens on Mount Ord, which happened back on May 27, 2025. If you remember, I covered this case before. It involved Evan Clark and Pandora Scholzrud, 2 teenage friends who were found dead on a camping trip on Mount Ord over Memorial Weekend. Thomas Brown was arrested on October 2nd after reportedly inserting himself into the investigation. Authorities later confirmed that his DNA was found inside Evan's car, and also a pair of gloves. His DNA was found in the inside when Pandora's blood was found on the outside. Now, as of October 10th, Brown was indicted by a grand jury on 2 counts of first-degree M. He was back in court on Friday, October 7th, where he pled not guilty to those charges. He is set to be back in court on December 4th, and his trial is tentatively set for June of 2026. He is currently being held on a $2 million bond. Now, there is one more case. This one is out of Oklahoma. It appears that Alysia Adams, who is charged with the M of 4-year-old Athena Brownfield, now has a new legal team. I only saw one article mention this update in the past year. There has been nothing on either her or her husband in the past year. I've definitely been religiously checking, but there's been nothing. I did see this one article pop up, so I really hope. It was dated for October 17, 2025, so it seems recent. But if you need a quick refresher, I'll link my video here. Back on January 10, 2023, Athena's 5-year-old sister was found wandering alone by a mail carrier in Surreal, Oklahoma. After some investigating, police learned that the little girl had been left there on her own when her mother's cousin, Alysia Adams, and Alicia's husband, Ivan, were split up. Ivan was later found in Arizona with the couple's 4 children, while Alysia was off with her new boyfriend somewhere, I don't even know where, but she was off taking pictures of that, while 4-year-old Athena was nowhere to be found. At first, Alysia tried to place Athena's death on Ivan, claiming that he beat her to death, but after Athena's remains were recovered on property connected to the Adams family, an autopsy revealed that this just was not true. It showed that the little girl had actually been starved to death. I think she weighed like 23 pounds, and she was found inside a backpack. Atrocious. After that, Alysia was charged with first-degree M, and the prosecutors announced that they would be seeking the death penalty. Back in November of 2024, it looked like she was actually going to plead guilty in exchange for avoiding the death penalty, but she backed out last minute at that hearing and decided not to take the plea. Since then, there really hasn't been too much reporting on the case, and this is something that I seem to find a lot in the stories that I report. It seems like no one follows up on some of the headlines once those fade. Now, not all cases, I prefer to cover cases that are not overly covered. There is enough people talking about Karen Reed. There's enough people talking about D4 David, whatever his name is. There's enough people talking about Ellen Greenberg. Really, that one there's never enough people talking about either. But you get what I'm saying. I like to cover cases that are not oversaturated and give you guys details that not everyone's talking about. In this case, super hard to find anything. The most recent article, like I said, mentioned that she had a new defense team and that her trial is still scheduled for November. That's going to be hard to believe. I will definitely not hold my breath for that. If she received a new legal team recently, I'm sure they need time to get caught up on the case, especially since the prosecution is seeking death. But we'll have to see. While Ivan, he is set to be back in court in December as he's facing second-degree murder charges. But that's really all I have for updates right now. If I'm missing any, please feel free to reach out to me. I do have a free members option on my Patreon, and you can go ahead and click that and then reach out to me that way. But until next time, stay safe out there. The world's an ugly place.